welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be a foundation roundup. I have 6 foundations here that I've done first impressions on, and I've been trying them out, testing them different ways, trying to improve them if I maybe didn't like them the first time I tried them. And now I'm gonna sit down, give you all my thoughts and rank them out. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet, but let's just get started talking about all these foundations. All right, so like I mentioned, I have 6 foundations here to rank, and I am wearing my number 1 foundation today. It'll be listed down in the description box below with all the makeup that I'm wearing, as well as all the initial videos that I did on these foundations since they were all first impressions. Before we get to the ranking, I really quickly just want to go over my preferences for a foundation, what I look for in a foundation, my skin type. I would say my skin type is pretty much normal. I do get oily in my T-zone, but other than that, like, it really is just normal. It's not too dry, it's not too oily, and I prefer a lightweight, light to medium coverage foundation. I like a natural finish. I don't like something really glowy. I don't like to look sweaty. I would rather look more matte. So I do have more of a matte preference, leaning matte, but I don't want to look dry and crusty either. So that's kind of like my sweet spot. I like something buildable, and mostly I want it to wear down really well. If it doesn't have longevity, if it doesn't wear down nicely, it's just an automatic pass for me, as well as just being easy to work with, meaning that I don't have to pair it with certain products to make it work. I want to be able to grab for any primer that I have, any other complexion products to put it with, and not have to rely on my memory of, oh, I can't use this primer with this foundation or it'll look bad and separate. So those are just a little bit of my preferences, but I want to hop straight into the number 6 spot, and that is this Paco Rabanne Fresh Touch Foundation. I have the shade 10N. First, let's just talk about the shade, because the shade was super, super orange. I'm not gonna swatch all of them, but this was just like alarmingly orange. And I, in that video, put up the swatch photo of the model compared to what I actually got. And it is surprisingly, that's my heater, I'm sorry. It's just off. On top of that, I have no idea what's going on with this foundation, because immediately after I got it, Paco Rabanne didn't have it on their website anymore. They came out with like a whole beauty line that launched at Ulta, excluding the foundation. I messaged customer service and asked them. They just told me that it was out of stock. I find that very odd, since it's a newly launched product and it doesn't seem like it really ever launched. So I don't know how it's out of stock. Aside from that, this foundation just wore terribly. So my sneaking suspicion is they realized how awful this is, because it looks nice on application, but after that it breaks down super quickly. It's not flattering on the skin. My main skin concerns are just enlarged pores on my cheeks, and I don't have a lot of texture. It just broke apart on my skin, and it looked bad because of the shade. I could counteract that with my e.l.f. blue color corrector, but I don't want to have to do that. So this is honestly something I'll probably just declutter. A lot of the times, if I can make it work, I'll keep it, but this was just bad. This was bad. Now, number 5, I have lower, mostly because it doesn't fit the criteria of being just an easy to use product. And this is the Ritual Defy 3-drop weightless serum foundation. I was really interested in trying Ritual Defy. I did a whole video trying different products. I think I had some of the eyeshadow products from them as well. And this is supposed to be, what shade do I have? I have the shade 120. The shade was fine. It has like this dropper style where you press the bottom, and it's supposed to give you full coverage with 3 drops. You can customize the coverage. This foundation is, I suspect, I don't know for sure, an oil-based foundation. You have to use your fingers with this. It does give you a full coverage foundation, I will say that. I think 3 drops is too many. Honestly, you need like 1.5, even 2 is almost too much. And so that's why I just have it ranked a little lower. Once you work with it and kind of melt it into your skin with your fingers, it looks really nice on, but there's a lot of steps to do that. You can't use primer because it'll ball up, because it's oil-based. And I find it difficult. I don't mind using fingers with some makeup products. Eyeshadow is fine, but I hate getting foundation all over my fingers, and that's really the only way you can apply it. So that's why I just have it ranked a little bit lower. I think it's a nice natural finish. The finish is okay. It does wear like all right. It does break down a little bit earlier than maybe some other foundations, but I would say you can get like a good 4, 5, 6 hours out of it. It's not a 10-hour wear foundation. I can only see this working for so many people. It's not a universally flattering foundation, and that's why I just have it a little bit lower. Now, number 4 hurts my heart a little bit because this is probably the most expensive foundation I have out of the bunch, and that is the Prada Reveal Foundation. I have the shade LC15, so it comes with refillable packaging. I do like that. However, it's like loose in here, so it doesn't feel very luxury. This is glass, this is plastic, so I almost would have rather the opposite, like have the component you're gonna keep be glass and have this part be plastic, but whatever. As far as the formula, it wasn't terrible. Like, I'd give this a solid 7 out of 10. It just was a little bit too matte for me, especially like in comparison to these other ones. And it wasn't a foundation that I felt excited to go back to. So that's why I'm just ranking it lower. Also, the price point, I think I'm going off of memory here that it's $70. I'll put the price point down below, but like I said, it's the most expensive, and for not being just a really nice foundation, it's not worth the price point, and that bumped it down because the rest of these, you know, I have another luxury, but the rest are pretty reasonably priced, and I can't rank it higher than those other ones. So I really don't recommend this. As far as the luxury realm goes, my favorite is the Valentino foundation. That just has like a little bit more glow, a little bit more hydration. And I found this a little bit just more on the drying side, coming from someone who does like a matte finish. So I think this was a bust from Prada. I wish it did better, but it didn't. My first impression like wasn't bad. It just wasn't good. Like, this is an okay foundation. If it was $25, I'd probably have less to complain about. It's just the price point is making it a lot lower, and it's making me kind of bitter towards buying this. So that's the Prada. And then the last luxury foundation I have actually is in the number 3 spot, and that is the YSL All Hours Foundation. This is a luminous matte foundation. This is not a new foundation, but it was reformulated, and this had been on my list to try for a while. And I picked up the YSL All Hours Concealer and decided I'd pick up the foundation at the same time because this was highly raved about. This I have in the shade LN8. This one's nice. It is a luminous matte, more leaning matte. What's nice about this one compared to the Prada is that it's just more long wearing, and that's why I like it. This is definitely not an everyday foundation, at least not for me. It's much more full coverage, and it's a good event foundation. If you need a full coverage, you need something that lasts, you need something that doesn't get oily. Your natural oils will kind of come through this foundation and have it melt with your skin more, but it doesn't get shiny oily. So this is one I would wear specifically to a party or just something where I needed my makeup to last. However, like, it is pricier, and do I want to spend that much on an event foundation? I did, but I don't know if I would go back in the past and redo it. I don't think that I would. I do recommend this though if you're interested in it and this was also one that you wanted to pick up. I think this is a really nice foundation, just also kind of pricey, and I have a lot in my collection. So from a personal point of view, I like the Pat McGrath more than this, and that is kind of my go-to event foundation. So that's why this was also low, but still like a really good foundation. I hope that's making sense. We're now in the top 2, and I actually switched these this morning. So number 2, I almost had this as number 1, is the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Serum Skin Tint. I have the shade 4. I really, really like this foundation. Now we're like just into loves. Like the Prada, the YSL were like meh. The Ritual de Fille and the Rabanne, I don't recommend. This one, I'm so glad I picked up because I almost didn't. This launched at the same time as the Bobbi Brown Skin Tint and the Hourglass Skin Veil, something along those lines. And I was leaning more towards one of those because I assumed from the name that this was going to be ultra, ultra glowy, and it is not. This is beautiful on the skin. It gives the perfect amount of glow without looking wet. I feel like glow foundations became really popular and we just went so far down the spectrum that it looked like I dunked my head in water for a little while with all the foundations that were coming out with glow. They were like a straight up highlight. This goes back to the initial first time where it's a glowy foundation. It's a hydrating foundation. Your skin just looks like it took a drink of water without like your skin just drowned in the ocean. So I really enjoy this. I think that dry skin people will like this more than oily skin. If you're oily, it might be too much, but you can powder it down. And I have nothing bad to say about this. Like I said, I almost put this at number 1, but then I decided to wear my number 1 today, and that told me it needed to be number 1. So I'm glad that I ended up going with this over the Bobbi Brown and the Hourglass. The Hourglass is still kind of on my list because I've heard really good things about it, but I think I'm going to hold off, get through some of my collection first before I pick this up. This also is pretty reasonably priced and it has 45 milliliters, so a lot more than your standard 1 fluid ounce. You get a lot of product for your money, and if you're on the fence about this, I definitely recommend it. And the last foundation, the number 1 spot, the foundation I'm wearing today, goes to this not new release. This is the Urban Decay Hydromanic Tinted Glow Hydrator. Medium coverage, 24-hour wear. I have the shade 30 Light. So, like I said, I almost had this as number 2, but then this morning when I was getting ready to film, I ended up going for this one, and I just loved it so much. I was like, no, this is number 1. I'm putting the Danessa Myricks as number 1 because it's newer over this one, but this one is, in my opinion, better. The reason I like this one more than the Danessa Myricks is that it is a medium coverage, it's buildable, whereas the Danessa Myricks, I think, leans much more on the light coverage, not as buildable as this. This just is more versatile, so you can build it up. It wears down really nice. It does have long wear. It's not too glowy. I would say the finish of both of these, very comparable. If you like the finish of this, if you have this already, the finish of the Danessa Myricks, they're basically spot on. I just think what makes this better, again, is the wear time, the buildability over this one. It's a little bit more, you're only gonna get one kind of finish out of this. So I suspect that I will be wearing this a lot. I think I tried this out in my Chatty Get Ready With Me when I hit 1,000 subscribers. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the video I tried this in. And it had just been on my list for a while. I remember this was so hyped up. I really wanted to try it, and I'm glad that I finally did because this is a really good foundation. If you have this in your collection from when it was hyped up, I really urge you to just go back in and re-fall in love with it because it is a nice one, and I could actually see myself repurchasing this. Like I said, I'm wearing it today. I feel like it's just, you know, it's a little bit more glowy than what I usually prefer to wear on camera. I did powder it down in my T-zone, but for everyday wear, this is perfect. Like, this is what I want in a foundation. Like, this is my perfect foundation. I think looks really nice. My pores look pretty blurred. They don't look accentuated. I used, you know, my normal primer, so it works with a lot of different primers. It's not giving super full coverage, but it's giving the coverage that I want. So this is my number one. It's not a new one. I know that most of these are new. This is new. This one's new. The Prada, the Ritual Defeat, this one's just reformulated, but sometimes the old ones are just the good ones, and we have to remember that and go back to just the staples rather than always trying the new. So that is my foundation ranking. Of course, as always, let me know your thoughts down below. Do you have any of these foundations? Do you agree with me, disagree with me on how they wore on you? Make sure if you leave a comment about a specific foundation, you just leave your skin type down below so that anyone watching can see more opinions on different skin types. That's always very helpful. And that's all that I have. That's where I'm gonna leave you all. I hope you're having a great one, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.